making like a play for leadership or anything like that. I think he just looks like it. He has these things to say every couple of days.
Hours.
And he just looks bad. You know?
Well, I think it's the boy who cried wolf.
Look, on a scale of 1 to 10, him wanting to be leader, I reckon, is probably at a 15.
Now, with all the rain we've had this year, it's hard to believe that anyone is arguing over water. But the release of a plan to manage Australia's most important waterway has revived the fight over who gets what from the system. On the surface, the Murray-Darling Basin looks the best it's been in years. And we all benefit because the huge network of rivers running from Queensland to South Australia grows a third of our nation's food. But in past years, the combination of drought, overuse and political mismanagement has almost destroyed the system. So the body in charge is devising a plan to save the Murray-Darling Basin. It recommends cutting the amount of water taken out for agriculture by around 2,700 gigalitres a year. That's more than 1 million Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of water. Conservationists are cranky because they say the cuts aren't high enough.
What we've seen today doesn't give us enough confidence that we're going to flush salt from the river, that it will flow properly and that it can live.
But farmers and supporters warn that cuts to water use will ruin businesses and kill off country towns, even if they're phased in over a decade.
When they talk about phasing it in, that's like phasing in amputation for many towns. If you take away the substance of their economic base, the town will evolve.
The man behind the plan wants compromise.
The historic, diametrically opposed views of different interest groups will do nothing to improve the well-being of our nation and the well-being of the health of the basin. So
after more than 100 years of fighting, isn't it time for those on all sides to make some sacrifices to save the river system? Matt Linnegar is CEO of the National Farming Federation. Matt, we know the system's so important, so why after all these years won't people work together to try and save it?
Well, I guess the thing that happens is when you feel like maybe your job's on the line or your livelihood is threatened, it makes it very difficult for people after all this time to come together. I mean, of course, we've been talking all the way through this, but again, when people feel threatened, it makes it difficult to come together.
Matt, let's look more broadly. I mean, if you're not a farmer, if you don't live in the Murray-Darling catchment area or around, why does it matter? Why is it so important that this be got right?
Yeah, look, it is important to everyone in the cities because anyone who eats is eating something that's come off a farm, so it will mean something for them in terms of getting this plan right. If we get it right, there's a chance that we continue to produce the food and have a healthy environment.
Matt, ultimately this is a question of science, though, isn't it? And the scientists are saying that we need to save between 3,000 and 4,000 gigalitres for the system to survive. Now we've got a plan that has less than that. Is there no point complaining that communities are going to go under? Because if the system dies, they're going to go under anyway.
Yeah, look, I think what we all know is that science isn't about giving you the answer to this particular question. Science helps inform that decision, and that's why they've gone back to the scientists to find that out. But it can't make the decision for you.
No, but it puts a hard limit there, doesn't it? It says this is how much water that we need to save for the thing to survive. That's your hard boundary condition. If you don't meet that, the thing dies. Surely that's got to be the starting point, doesn't it?
Just putting a figure on it now and hoping for the best when people could be highly affected by this, I don't think is the answer.
We've got to put a figure on it somehow, and the original proposal you've rejected. Now they've come back with a compromise figure of something like 2,700 gigalitres. You've rejected that too. Nominate a figure. How many litres are you prepared to come out of these communities into the system to save it?
Well, that's not our job, is to come up with a number. What we've said is take this back. If you just weigh those things equally, what is it that communities need, what about jobs and what about the environment? Actually weigh them equally, not how much does the environment need and then what are the impacts on everyone else. Then we might start to come up with a more sensible number, a more sensible plan and a way of reaching that.
Thanks very much for your time, Matt. It's a hard issue. Appreciate you taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Now, Waleed, coming up with figures isn't easy, all right? And live television isn't always easy. I'm sure I make it look easy, but it's not always easy. I mean, we're always really smooth here at the project, but other TV shows aren't always as smooth as we are. Like Sky News were interviewing Julie Bishop the other night, and they were looking to go to a break, and this is how it went.
You're watching Australian Agenda. When we come back, we'll be sticking with the shadow